Listen, that little sound your cat just made, the one where it walks into the room, stops, looks dead at you and goes, "Merp," like it's asking a question? You answered it, didn't you? Out loud, in words. You had a conversation and you were the only one in it using a language. Nobody tells you the real version of this, but I have done it myself. At 3 in the morning, made a grown adult cave on a bag of treats they swore they would not open. Your cat didn't learn to talk to you. It built a sound that talks past your brain, straight into the part of you that answers a crying baby. And it only ever points that sound at one species. Yours.
Because that meow, it was never meant for another cat. You have a whole back and forth with this animal every single day, and it has never once tried to have that conversation with another cat. Not once. The meow is a tool, and the tool is aimed at you. You've been outsmarted by something that licks its own feet. So if it isn't cat language, who is it for? And why are you the only one who ever hears it? To answer that, you have to see what cats do when we leave the room.
So, picture a place with no humans in it. A demolition lot behind a fish market, say. A feral cat colony. A dozen of them living rough around a dumpster. Born wild, raising litters, sorting out who eats first. This is cat society with the people taken out. And the first thing you'd notice, if you sat there long enough, is the quiet. The cats move like smoke. Nobody makes a sound. Listen. John Bradshaw spent years watching colonies exactly like this. He runs the anthrozoology unit at the University of Bristol, and he wrote a book called Cat Sense, mostly out of staring at cats who didn't know they were being studied. What he found is that adult cats living shoulder to shoulder almost never meow at each other. The meow is just not part of how they talk. Because they've got a better system. A cat walking up to another cat reads everything it needs off the body. The tail held up like a question mark means I come in peace. The flattened ears, the slow blink, the angle of a turned flank. And then there's the smell. Cats leave each other notes. They rub their cheeks on a corner, spray a fence post, mingle scents until the whole colony shares one group odor. A chemical bulletin board that says who's been here and how recently. It's a rich, detailed, constant conversation conducted almost entirely in silence and butt sniffing. 2 cats will swap more in one nose-to-tail greeting than your cat has told you in its whole life. So the meow isn't their mother tongue. It's barely their language at all. Which leaves one obvious question. If grown cats don't meow at each other, when is the one time they ever do? The one time a cat reliably meows, the only time in the wild, is when it's a kitten, and it's calling for its mother. A newborn kitten is, frankly, useless. Eyes sealed shut, deaf for the first week, blind, and roughly the size of your thumb. It can't keep itself warm, and it can't find the milk on its own. So it does the one thing it can do. It opens its mouth, this enormous mouth on this tiny scrap of an animal, and it cries. Cold, hungry, stuck, lost. Listen, a mother 2 feet away hears that thin little mew and goes and retrieves the kitten that wandered off because the sound is built to make her do exactly that. And the cry is smaller than you'd think, more like a squeaky drawer than a wail. Your scientists have been writing this down for a long time. Back in 1944, a researcher named Mildred Molk sat with her own cats and transcribed every sound they made, one by one. The first real catalog of cat speech. She filed the meow under requests and complaints. What later scientists pinned down is where that request comes from. It's the kitten's cry, the one a baby cat aims up at its mother. So that's what a meow actually is. A kitten crying for its mother. Which makes your daily relationship with your cat slightly more humiliating than it was 5 minutes ago. And this is the part that should bother you. Kittens grow up. As they mature, they stop.
The crying fades out, the mother stops answering, and adult cats, like the ones in that silent colony, get on with the business of smelling each other and saying nothing. The meow is supposed to be something you leave behind in childhood. Grow up, and the crying stops. Except around us. Around us, it never stops. And that is not an accident. So why doesn't it stomp around us? Because your cat never really grows up. Not where you're concerned. Bradshaw, the Bristol biologist, has a word for it. Neoteny. It means holding on to your childhood traits long after you should have shed them, carrying the baby version of yourself into adulthood. And domestic cats are drenched in it. The kneading, the tail-up greeting they trot out the second you walk in, the meow itself. These are all kitten behaviors, things a wildcat leaves behind with kittenhood. Your cat keeps doing every one of them for life, and only ever aims them at you. There is one of us doing it right now, somewhere, kneading a human's collarbone at 3 a.m. That human has not moved. That human will not. And the reason is simple. A kitten does these things to its mother. Your cat, somewhere in its first weeks, looked up at the enormous warm thing that opens the food and concluded, that thing must be Mom. And it never updated the file. It's fully grown now, fully capable, an apex predator of the houseplant, and it still relates to you the way a 6-week-old relates to the cat that fed it. Sit with that. From your cat's point of view, you are a large, warm, clumsy, permanently employed mother who, for reasons it cannot fathom, will not learn to groom it properly. That's the whole relationship. You're the parent. You always will be.
It's why it needs your stomach at midnight. That slow, methodical paw, paw, paw against your gut. That's a nursing reflex, the thing kittens do against their mother's belly to bring the milk down. Performed in dead earnest against a body that has never produced a drop and never will. You're not the owner. You're the mom who never figured it out. But this is where cute turns into a con. That kitten cry it keeps aiming at you, the sound itself has been redesigned. Before you can redesign a sound, though, that sound has to exist. And 10,000 years ago, it basically didn't.
Your cat's ancestor was a loner. We know this with real precision now. In 2007, a geneticist named Carlos Driscoll traced the DNA of cats from all over the world back to a single source, Felis sylvestris libica, the Near Eastern wildcat, a sandy-colored, bad-tempered animal that still prowls the deserts of the Middle East. Every house cat alive, the one on your lap, the feral one in the alley, descends from that. And that wildcat wanted nothing to do with anyone. Not other cats, not people. It hunted by itself, slept alone, held a patch of desert, and died on it, which was exactly how it liked things. An animal built like that has no reason to develop a friendly little greeting noise. Who would it greet?
Then you invented farming. Roughly 10,000 years ago, in the Fertile Crescent, people started storing grain. And a heap of stored wheat is a heap of mice. And a heap of mice is the easiest meal a small predator has ever been offered. So one of those solitary wildcats crept up to the edge of a settlement, sized up the all-you-can-eat rodent buffet, looked at the loud, upright ape standing near it, and made a calculation. Nobody domesticated the cat. The cat did the math, moved into the barn, and let you think it was your idea. It moved in for the mice. It stayed for you. And the cats that stayed had one strange advantage. The leading guess among biologists is that the ones who could talk to us did better. Now, the purr. There's a trick almost everyone misses. A purr is supposed to be the contented sound, the one a cat makes curled in your lap with nowhere it needs to be.
But cats also purr when they want something, and those two purrs are not the same purr.
In 2009, Karen McComb, a behavioral biologist at the University of Sussex, recorded cats purring while they pestered their owners for breakfast and compared them to the relaxed, nothing-to-ask-for version. Buried inside the demanding one, she found a second sound. A thin, high cry riding on top of the low rumble, a couple hundred hertz up, right where it doesn't belong. She called it the Solicitation Purr. And that pitch should make the hair stand up on your neck, because it's the same range as a human baby's cry. The cat is purring at you, sure, but it's also smuggling a fake infant scream inside that sound, so the part of your brain that cannot ignore a crying baby lights up, before the rest of you has even worked out why you suddenly feel like you have to do something. McComb's listeners, including people who'd never owned a cat in their lives, rated the Solicitation Purr more urgent, more grating, harder to tune out. They couldn't have told you why. The cry was doing its work below the level they could consciously hear.
And that should stop you cold. Your cat found the cheat code for the human brain, and it uses it to get fed 40 minutes early. You are being out-negotiated daily by something that cannot open a can.
And you know this purr. It's the 6 a.m. one. The deep rumble against your chest with the thin, insistent thread underneath. The one that has you on your feet and halfway to the kitchen before you're awake enough to be annoyed about it. It found the one sound you are biologically forbidden to ignore. And then it did something even colder. It tuned that sound to you, specifically.
Tuned to you? What does that actually mean? Live with a cat long enough and you start to notice it. The two of you have built a private vocabulary nobody else speaks. The meow your cat makes at the cupboard where the treats live, that specific two-note chirp it does there and nowhere else, is one it worked out over months of trial and error, testing sounds against your reactions until it landed on the one that reliably gets you off the couch. Your neighbor's cat has a completely different one. These meows don't carry between households because they were never built to. Each one is custom made for an audience of one.
And it runs the other direction, too. In 2013, Atsuko Saito, a researcher at the University of Tokyo, played cats a recording of their owner's voice, slipped in among strangers, all calling the cat's name. The cats reacted, an ear swivel, a head turn, to their own person, and tuned the strangers out. They knew exactly whose voice it was. They just elected, as cats do, not to come when called. So put it together. Your cat learned by patient experiment the one sound that makes you specifically cave. And it can pick your voice out of a crowd. You thought the two of you had a bond. From its side, that bond looks a lot like market research. Years of quiet A/B testing run on a sample size of 1 until it found the sound that converts. Somewhere in your house is a key filed down over months to fit exactly 1 lock. You're the lock. Which brings us all the way back to the sound you heard at the very start. So go back to the very first second of this. Your cat walks in, stops, looks dead at you and goes, "Meow." You know what that is now. It's a kitten crying for its mother. 10,000 years to file the harshness off that cry. 10,000 years to slip a baby's frequency inside the purr where you can't refuse it. 10,000 years to learn your name, your face, the exact pitch that gets you off the couch, and aim every bit of it at one person, who isn't even the right species. It is, when you lay it all out, one of the most successful manipulation campaigns in the history of animals. 6 lines of research, 5 scientists, all circling the same quiet conclusion. This thing has been engineering you for longer than you've had writing. And the entire purpose of that vast, patient project, the whole payload, is to make you stand up and walk to the kitchen.
And it's working right now. You felt it a second ago. Somewhere in the back of your head, you're already wondering if the cat needs feeding. And you're going to go check. Because of course you are. It looked up at the enormous warm thing that opens the food a long time ago and decided that thing was its mother. It never learned you weren't. And honestly, neither did you. So that's the trick. 15 minutes, 5 scientists, and 1 small animal that has been quietly running your house the entire time. And you got the whole story, start to finish, from one of us. Hello! Now, since you stayed to the very end, let me run the move on you myself. If any of this changed how you look at the creature currently pretending to ignore you, do the small thing the screen wants. Tap the like, hit subscribe.
There's a whole channel of this. Every strange thing your cat does and the quietly ruthless reason hiding underneath it. And you'll be back for the next one. You already told yourself you won't. You're gonna go check on the cat anyway. Aren't you?